Hello everybody, this is Chaos with Chaos Esports Productions, bringing you another Bronze to Masters League Series game. Today we're looking at a PvT here on Alterzim Stronghold, and we've got some interesting stuff to talk about. Today we're mainly going to be focusing on the concept of patience in a game, because a lot of times you get a little bit overzealous and might overextend, and we want to minimize that at all possible. So now this game I actually went with kind of a non-standard build. Well, I guess it's kind of standard. We're going with a Nexus first, which I usually don't do, especially in the lower leagues, just because it's a little bit more risky. But on this map, you know, I figured I might as well give it a go. It's a pretty safe map, and actually, let's first start talking about the map. So this map is really interesting and actually very unique compared to all the other ladder maps out there right now, simply because you have this wonderful in-base expansion that is very easily takeable. And basically you can expand here at any given point in time in the game, really with having no worries that it's going to be focused down or anything like that. So it's really, really nice. Now, the ramp up into your main is actually fairly small. You know, usually the same type of width as you would have going into like a normal natural and things like that. So, pretty cool stuff going on here. So we're going to be going for a Nexus first, which is probably not the most typical build, I would say, in the lower leagues, but I figured, heck, why not? Might as well do a little bit of variation. Now, this game is really interesting. Whenever I go for a Nexus first, I always am playing a little bit more cautious than I would normally. And it's actually really nice because I do see he gets a really, really early scout, which means I'm pretty confident where he's going, where he is. I believe, if I recall correctly now, the distance from here to here is actually a little bit shorter than to up here. So I actually just go ahead and scout to the left. As you can see, he just kind of comes back and is like, yeah, he's obviously not following me. And I will actually end up getting that first scout off on him, which is quite nice. So I'm going to send my probe in, get an idea of what's going on. I'm going to see both racks go down, so I know that he's, you know, by seeing the two racks there first, not completed, I know that he's gone for the command center first, so I actually come down here and actually start to poke down his SCV a little bit. He does manage to pull off an SCV and do a little bit of harassing on me, and I actually don't end up killing any SCVs, and I'm basically just going to be continuing my build onward. So the gateway went down immediately, you know, pretty much as soon as you can. Once the Nexus is down, go ahead and plant that gateway, and then I always go ahead and get the two gas geysers. Since you've got such a high income coming in as a function of building more probes before the gateway, you can pretty much easily put in 3 guys in each gas, getting the 2 gas relatively quick once you've planted down your gateway. And then going to be getting out our cybernetics core, and then also going to be going ahead and getting up an extra gateway for defense. Now, you want to play a little bit more safe if you're ever going to go for an Nexus first, simply because your opponent can just build a whole bunch of units, walk across the map, and A-move into you. And actually, I believe in this game, as I recall playing it, had he simply moved out with his units, I probably wouldn't have been ready for it. He's already got 3 Marines out, building 2 at a time, as we can see, and also going to be getting down a 3rd barracks himself. So he's going to have significant production coming here soon. Now, I do also goof up a little bit. You got to get your infrastructure right, because this can happen. I rallied my probes all the way down here, and the probes were getting stuck right here. So I went ahead, planted down a couple extra pylons and started to kill down this pylon, and then came to the realization that, oh crap, I didn't build those pylons quick enough, and my warp gate is going to stop. So now I'm a little bit even more concerned, because I'm like, okay, need to start chrono boosting out units as soon as these pylons are done. And actually, I go ahead and push out with the 2 units that are produced from these gateways, simply because I know I need to check and see where my opponent is. If he's continually building units and not really focusing on getting his economy at all, then we're going to be in a little bit of a trouble. So we're going to plant down a robotics facility and start to head toward our Colossus tech. Now, this game specifically, I was originally saying, okay, maybe I should go for High Templars really early since I know he went for a CC first, and is probably going to have a lot of Marines. But I did end up going for the robotics facility after kind of rethinking about it. I really wanted to get an observer out and also get a halfway decent scout off. So, going to be sending my units out to do a little bit of scouting as well as see if I can apply any pressure. You know, if your opponent skimps on units, then that's going to be the, you know, ideal situation. So you can easily apply pressure and potentially just win the game. So we're going to be moving across the field and like that. So I guess what I was talking about patience before, the main reason I say you need to be patient during your games is exactly in this situation. So I'm waiting for my Zealot to get in here because I want my Zealot to walk up first, and I knew with my initial scout that all of his barracks were back here, so I should be able to walk in here fairly easily. So I send the Zealot up and don't really see anything, and then I see a whole bunch of Marines. And that indicates that, okay, he's going for a very, very heavy bio play, and on top of that, he's going to be probably pushing out relatively soon, if not, you know, playing the macro game, getting his third expansion, which is already down. So I go ahead and leave my Zealot back here just to make sure and, you know, do a quick little check of where things are at. Zealot goes and attacks, and I'm like, well, it looks like he's moving out. So I'm like, scramble mode, gotta build lots of units. And then behind this, we actually went ahead and got our forge up a little bit early, and are getting a handful more gateways because we know we really don't have enough units to deal with that pretty big bioforce. So as far as the initial scout that we got when we went in there, we totally missed the fact that he has 2 engineering bays up, which, you know, puts us a little bit behind on the upgrade side, and we need to be cognizant of that. So right now we're kind of like, okay, I know that I cannot engage him straight up and win the fight simply because I don't have any AoE units. I'm a little bit pylon blocked as I build a million pylons, and we just need to be focusing on staying toe-to-toe with him, as well as getting into a position where we can either move out and attack or just rapidly expand in the case that he takes his third, waits until he gets 200, and then pushes out. So that is what we're going to be focusing on now. Our Zealot's going to be going across the field, and we're basically just simply trying to figure out, okay, what's the scouting situation? We see his third base is almost done, so we're like, okay, need to go ahead and plant down our base and continue on getting units. So we're going to continue on getting Colossus up and, you know, pretty much continue the macro up. And this is where the patience game starts. Now, I'm going to go ahead and speed up because it's pretty straightforward up until then. This is the point in time when I'm starting to feel like, okay, I need to get map presence out there. I need to figure out when he's going to be pushing out, as well as I need to make sure that I have the infrastructure to remax if we are to engage, and it be more in the engagement go in more of his favor. So, going to be focusing on getting out a whole bunch, all of my stuffs, getting pylons every which way on the field. The observer I'm sending out here, because I want to be able to scout whether or not he's coming out here quick enough. And like I said, I'm building pylons everywhere, because why not? You know, usually in this situation, a Terran player isn't going to go around looking up here for pylons, since we're kind of only on this side of the map, so you're pretty safe not, you know, to not expect a random drop coming all the way around. It's just too much time and too much effort. So I go ahead and send my probe in to actually see what's going on, and I see he's already got Viking production up. So I'm pretty confident that, yeah, I even scout the starport. I'm pretty confident of what's going on, and I know that I need to start switching over to High Templar. So I go ahead and get my Storm, and also start to get out some Archons. Now, the first couple High Templar I warp in, I don't warp into Archons simply because Storm is going to be way more effective against the Bioforces, and I want to make sure that, you know, I can take care of those relatively quickly. So, so he is getting up more command centers, still getting up his economy, and this is about the time where I'm like, okay, I need to start putting some static defenses and start kind of building structures out of my way in case he's to choose to swing around and attack me from that angle. And then I also need to start thinking about drop potential, so I throw down my Dark Shrine, and then I also need to start thinking about getting up extra expansions, because I know that these bases are going to start to get low, and I'm going to need to, keep my economy pretty constant. So he scouts my my army. We'll go ahead and slow it down as we get into kind of the big altercation. Now he's going to come in here. Let's talk a little bit about setting up your units. Whenever you see a very offensive scan, scanning right in front of your third, or trying to scan your entire army, this is where it's very, very crucial to spread out your units and make sure that you're able to take the engagement the way you want it. He's going to be focusing on getting out EMPs as quickly as possible and trying to snipe these High Templar. My goal is to land the perfect storms on his army and, concave the entire Zealot force on his little bio ball. So slow it down as we get into this, but yeah, we get some very, very nice storms going off here. Pretty much his entire army completely melts, leaving us with the majority of our Zealots, and we simply just morph our High Templar now that we've used all their storms into Archons, and we're in pretty good shape. As you can see, we've got about an 80 supply difference. We're just going to continue on warping in units, trying to get more units that can deal with air units, simply because there are going to be more Vikings out. And basically we're just going to move across the field and take out as many units and buildings as possible. As we see, he's trying to build planetary fortresses in my way, and it's not working out very well. Get a nice storm off into his mineral line, and that is more or less it. So this is why patience is very, very crucial in this game. You have to know when the precise moment you need to push out, and when exactly you need to, sit back and kind of focus on what is my opponent going for, what do I need to focus on getting in order to deal with that, and then executing once the engagement happens. Once you have a good idea, hey, the engagement's coming, that's when you need to start posturing your units, as I did back here. Getting that perfect concave that you want, effectively hitting those storms where you need, and so on and so forth. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free, if you haven't already, hit that subscriber button down in the lower left-hand corner. I do 2 videos a week, thinking about doing 3 here shortly, once classes start to die down. Also, feel free to go ahead and hit that like button and share with your friends on Facebook and Twitter who are trying to learn Protoss and are looking for some more tips. Also, don't forget, feel free to send your replays to the email address in the description. I do analysis of your replays, give you some tips, and anything else you want me to talk about in your replay. So, an easy way for you guys to get featured, and I love giving back to the community. That's kind of why I do this. So, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next game.